Hello, everyone. Welcome to the network. Welcome to the Two Dads edition.
Wait, that's not it.
Start again.
Two Dads, Gen X edition.
Hey, James.
Yes, Dawson. How can I help you today?
Hey, have you ever actually used the cleaning the shotgun or cleaning the gun technique, like when the date comes for your daughter?
No, but I thought about it. I definitely have the firearms to do it, but no, I never actually followed through. Oh, man. You? What about you?
No, I actually was. I had my stuff out. I was getting it ready. I was getting ready to clean it, and then Kira's like, "Dad, put those away really quick." And I'm like, "Why?" It's like, "I have a date coming. I don't want you to freak him out." And I'm like, that actually did happen.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
I was like, all right.
I thought about handing them like a round with their name on it and just said, "This is for you in case anything goes wrong."
Well, I have done
that would be a threat, though.
I know where you live, so if you fuck up my kid, I will come kill you. And they're like, okay, sir. Sorry. Which really made me think about a great episode would be doing kind of something like to protect your daughter. So came up with Beyond the Shotgun, the modern dad's guide to protecting the daughters. And I thought it'd be fun to have a guest today. So we brought on a fellow YouTuber. His name is TJ.
Hello. How's it going?
Hey, TJ. How are you, man?
Good. How are you guys? Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
We are good. Hey, tell us a little about your YouTube page and you.
Yeah, so my YouTube channel is just a gaming channel called Grimsforge Gaming. I created that actually to kind of see how to grow and scale a channel. And it had nothing to do with gaming per se. It had to do with I needed to know how to grow and scale a YouTube channel because I train fighters, and at the time I'm traveling all over the Midwest doing fighter workshops. And fighters have so many really cool things. Imagine if you could be at LFA or Bellator or the UFC and see what it's like in the locker room as you're making your approach to the cage, and feel what it's like to be like Maximus, approaching in Gladiator, right? And how the floor is literally rumbling, and to experience that. And so fighters have a lot of really cool tools at their disposal, and their experience exposed to a lot of things. If they could share a little bit of that, it helps get sponsors, helps them sell tickets, helps build a brand. And so that's kind of where I was at, and just happened to be in the gaming space to do it. I should have actually did that. I should have been the one to record as we were making the approach, and the day in the life of a coach. So
that would be cool, actually. Yeah. So is it anything like WWE where like the fighters are like, okay, so first I'm going to do this, and then you do this back? Or
no, but okay. So a lot of the larger promotions, they do have a persona clause, and so that's an interesting thing. But no, everything, like when you're watching fights, for the most part, it's legit. And the only type of weird hype or build up that might be kind of like WWE is the pre-fight BS, the smack talk back and forth to sell tickets. But even if you take some of the biggest fights like Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz, and all the terrible trash talking, how personal it got, and the hype build up to the fight, there's a moment after their fight where they're both on their knees in the middle of the cage, and Herb Dean's a little bit too close, and his mic picks it up, but Conor has his hand around Nate's head, and he pulls him in. He says, "We just made a bunch of money together." And,
nice.
Hot mic.
Yeah. So
good job, guys.
Yeah, I mean, they understand how to play the game,
sure,
and make a career of it. And so, and that's really honestly what a lot of, when I'm traveling all over the Midwest and I was giving these fighter workshops talking about how to build, grow, and scale your brand, how to get really good at ticket sales and make yourself an asset to a promotion. And it has less to do with your fighting prowess, and it has more to do with, are you entertaining? Because even in the back, they'll tell you at the fighter meeting, you're here because you're here for entertainment. And if you can't entertain people, like if you're going to be a boring fighter, you won't be coming back.
Right.
And so
it's kind of like YouTube channels. If you're boring, nobody will come back.
Well, like when I was deployed in Iraq, we had a USO tour where Tito Ortiz came around,
Hmm.
He was actually a nice guy. He wasn't as big as I thought he would be.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I got promoted, and as one of the benefits of being promoted, I was like his backup security. So I was on the chase aircraft as he went to these little fobs.
Yeah.
And so I got a picture of him and I and stuff like that. He's like maybe an inch taller than I am, but scrawnier. He's just cut. He's a nice guy.
Yeah.
Though.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
So,
It.
TJ, you have 2 daughters?
I do. I got an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old about to turn 10.
Yeah, nice. And that 11-year-old thinks she's 20?
Yeah, we went through a phase where she was like that, and we had to dial or rein things back in from a internet perspective, like
Yeah.
exposure on the internet, and there's a lot of, we live in a different day and age, right? As
Oh, yeah.
fathers, we were recognizing how dangerous it is on the internet, and so we had to rein things back in when those things become apparent. And so what we did was just started restricting internet access, restricting phone access, and now we're going to ease back into that stuff with a better understanding, moving forward. So
Yeah.
So, 100%.
So how do you balance this this kind of career that you've had of because you were an MMA fighter too, weren't you?
yeah, I fought back in the day. So you got to remember, I'm going to be 49, and so when you're older, this was before state athletic commissions were involved. This was the Wild West, so
Yeah.
there was a lot of even the fairgrounds were doing fights, and unsanctioned events. You could regularly go wherever you wanted in the Midwest, and they would just have sign up at the door. You're
Wow.
literally walking in the building with your buddies, and they'll just say, "Hey, how much you weigh? You want to fight tonight?" So,
It's
that was a
dangerous, but
very
it's cool.
common thing.
So how
Yeah.
do you take that that kind of history and helping train and promote fighters, things like that, to being a dad of daughters now? Because I have 4 daughters. I have 5 kids. 4 of them are daughters. Dawson's got a daughter. So what ours are grown, but like for you with having these younger daughters, what do you think about in raising them in today's day and age?
Yeah, I don't want to be the safety valve for them. I don't want to be the guy that, like, well, my dad would just kick your ass. So what I did was I kept everything completely, like my life as a coach and as a trainer, separate. And then once they got a little older and we built an understanding, and it was time for them to start training to be able to protect themselves and what that looks like. And in some of the other businesses that I've been involved with, we talk about to the left of the bang and to the right of the bang. The bang being the instance, whatever that is, the bad thing that happens. If you spend your time well to the left of the bang, prepping for it, training or developing a better understanding, becoming more aware, talking about how to handle situations right, and then a situation happens, if you spin that left of the bang properly, I would hope that they could handle it and be aware and recognize it themselves. Because as dads, we're not going to be there when some of those things happen.
Yeah.
We're fortunate if we are, but most of the
Right.
time we're probably not going to be there. So we need them to be able to make the right decisions. And so that is what helps me sleep better, is if we continue that path to where they'll make the right decision. And then there not be a "I told you so" after the fact. It'd be I'm there to help pick them up, dust them off, and learn from it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So let's break this down into 4 or 3 categories, actually. And you actually kind of touch based on the first segment we want to do. It's building the foundation in youth. I think a lot of it, James and I, just like you, we want to help them build that foundation and kind of go from there. And then which leads into the 10 years, the psychological armor and the safe landing pad, kind of. And then the last segment, the young adulthood, the open nest and marriage, kind of helping
when
them
they move
through
into
that and be
marriage, yeah.
prepared for that. So let's dive into segment 1.
Yeah. So, like, for me, one of the things that I thought about with raising 4 daughters, which was very, very scary and intimidating, there was a part of me that wanted to be the protector, where it's like, I'm going to always go to bat for my kids. I'm always going to protect them. I'll beat the shit out of anybody that hurts my kids. But thankfully, I had very good examples as parents too, where so I grew up in a big family, as most of our audience knows. A lot of the structure and a lot of the framing of our expectations happens when we're younger. And so I was 8 years old and I was doing dishes and laundry and just cleaning, all that kind of stuff, everything that we're supposed to do. But what I did for my kids though was I tried to like take away that stereotypical men work outside and do the yard work and women work in the home, because it's 2026 and
Yeah.
it doesn't really apply anymore. But like I did a lot of the cooking, I did dishes, I did laundry, I know how to sew, and so I think one of the benefits that does is it takes away the feminization of that work and the masculinization of yard work and repair. But it without having that structure of dividing the tasks and dividing the roles in the home, it opens up a lot more options for our girls to grow up with, and which opens up a lot more as far as their creativity and what they can look forward to and things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
I love that.
100%. I mean, I think with mine, I definitely tried to teach both my kids. I think what's nice when you have a boy and a girl, you can kind of erase that line. Oh, this is what women do, this is what boys do. And I really want to try to teach them independent responsibility. You are responsible for yourself. If you dirty it, clean it, don't care if you're male, female. I think that's one thing that I not having a dad growing up, I didn't really have that stigmatism because we did everything,
right.
So it's like, I don't give a shit if you vacuumed yesterday, you're going to vacuum today, or you do your own laundry. And like you said, I had to learn how to patch stuff up and sew and stuff like that. And so I tried to build those foundations with my kids too, that I don't care if all the yard work, I would actually have Kira out there helping me mow, and I'd have Quinn doing the dishes and vice versa. And I never gave them each one specific chore. They all had the same chores, and ultimately got to the point where everybody did their own dishes. Everybody did their own laundry. Everybody did clear their own room. And so there really wasn't, like you said, that feminine chores, masculine chores, stuff like that.
Yeah. So TJ, how does it look like for you in your house with your kids? Because you have that, you're one of those manly men, you know how to fight and you're tough, all that kind of stuff. But, but what do you do? How do you approach it?
Okay, so I'm taking notes from Dawson right now so I can implement this. I like his approach to it. Right now I do it all. I'll do the dishes, I do the garbage, and I'm just kind of letting them focus on being kids, focus on their schoolwork and stuff like that. There are times where I ask them to clean up after themselves. I'm not going to, clean up after themselves. That's a skill that they're going to need in life.
Yeah.
I think we're always going to have dishes. We're always going to have to take out the garbage. We're always going to have to do laundry. Just recently taught them how to do their own laundry. They think it's fun, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, exactly. Got them. But, we'll see. I think we're just going to acquire skills as we go. And my biggest thing I think right now is just focus on just be a kid. Let's focus on school. Let's focus on looking around at our inner circle of people we're hanging out with and making sure that we're not hanging around with people that are going to influence our thought process or decision making poorly. And let's just focus on being a kid and all the experiences that come with that. So.
Yeah. And you said earlier, it sounded like you were saying that you're training your daughters in MMA. Is that right?
Yeah, so the daughters were interested in jiu-jitsu. Daughters were interested in boxing. They can do some of that. I will never force that on them. I think it's very important that they do that. We for sure live in a day and age where you have to know how to protect yourself. But I think, at 11 years old or whatever, I'm not training the next UFC champion or anything like that. I would rather them focus on after school track and field or going to music class, making good decisions. And I am really trying to focus on them looking around at the circle of kids that they hang around with and seeing who might need help. There's a kid that has some physical deformities or whatever, and he faces a lot of things. Then my daughter has picked up on that, how he's never picked for teams and nobody talks to him and nobody hangs out with him. And so I told my daughter, I'm not trying to force her to be his friend, but I said, I want you to empathize with that. And if you were to reverse the roles, how great would it be when someone comes up and wants to be your friend,
Yeah.
truly wants to be your friend and hang out with you. And so she's both of them have found those types of individuals, and they reach out to them and try and be something for them. So that's kind of more where I spend my time at. And I think as they get older and real true threats, they just experienced at school their first fights, like them not in the fight, but watching or hearing about fights and how traumatic it is, and this, that, and the other. So there is threats in and about, but nothing imminent. And they keep their nose clean and kind of stay away from that stuff and just disengage, and not get involved.
How did they react to that, especially with some of the fighting training that they've had?
My 11-year-old got punched by a boy, and he punched her in the chest, and she's like, "He was super weak, Dad." and I said,
I love that.
Yeah,
we brushed it off and go, darn gnats.
She said she just kind of looked at it and she's like, really? But awesome. And it really kind of deflated him,
Oh, yeah.
The thing about it is a lot of people are willing to fight, not a lot of people know how to fight.
Yeah.
And
100%.
And once you start learning how to fight, you realize that you don't have to resort to fighting, and there are other ways to verbally de-escalate or to not have to go there. And in that moment, it might very well be you doing them a favor, and they don't deserve that favor, but that's you doing them a favor. And so we do discuss things like that. But I also say, fights, you guys very finicky. One punch leads to two leads to three very quickly. Next thing you know, you're looking up and you have no clue what happened. So I am very adamant about keeping our head on a swivel, having our hands up, and being able to defend ourselves. And if strikes start coming and you can't get away, you destroy them.
Yeah.
Like, you leave no doubt in anyone's mind that witnessed that, let alone the person that was attacking you, what they did. And so that's kind of where we're at. Both of them can throw very stiff 1-2s. They understand elbows. They know how to work out of the clinch, and they understand jujitsu on the ground, getting the hooks in, pancaking people out.
Yep.
They understand how dangerous, choking is, and you can't hold it real long no matter how mad you are. And they know how to breathe. That's a lot of things, especially for males. We hold our breath and we posture when things start happening, and they'll take a deep breath, and they use their head first, and so, which means they lead with a headbutt. No.
But it's true though, because there's that confidence that you get where it's no longer the fearful response where you just are swinging. I got bullied all the way up until my senior year of high school. I was bigger than most kids, but I didn't respond. I didn't react until I got in a fight. I was on the swim team for a month. Then I got kicked off the team.
Because of this fight?
Because of this fight, yeah. So this kid, and he was an underclassman. He was smaller than me, but he was like trying to kick me in the nuts under the water. He was shoving me, saying all kinds of stuff about my parents, and you don't mess with my mom. And so the coach just pulled us out of the pool, talked to us at the end of practice. He went into the locker room. I went into the locker room after the coach talked to me, and I went up to him, and his nickname was Chip. And I went, "Hey, Chip," and he stood up and he's like, "What?" And I just swung and I clocked him on the side of the head, and he almost fell down, got back up, and just kind of ran out. But then I got a call that night from his grandfather, who was a doctor at the ER here in town, asking, did he hit the lockers? Did he hit the ground? Because it's concrete floor. And then another guy on the team that I was friends with called me. He's like, "Dude, he had a concussion and mild amnesia." And I'm like, I wasn't trying to hurt him. So now it's like with raising my kids, I didn't want them to be weak and not be able to defend themselves, but I wanted them to know the importance of how much can happen.
Oh yeah.
Without intent. And so instead of I did not allow fighting in my home. My kids were not allowed to do that at all. I wanted them to talk. I wanted them to understand each other's perspective. And if somebody hit the other, the way that their punishment, if one of my daughters or if my son hit one of his sisters, something like that, the person who hit has to serve the person they hit for a half hour.
I love it. I love it.
No, it's those are all good things. I mean, honestly, I think with Kira, my daughter, I wanted to make sure she understood consequences, kind of like the same thing you guys had talked about. I also wanted her to have empathy for other people. She is one of those kind, considerate souls that just has so much empathy for people that people take advantage of her. And you brought it up earlier about kind of restraining, kind of pulling back on, social media and what they're exposed to, and learning to protect them from those things in a way that we're not protecting them, but they recognize the dangers and the red flags and like, oh crap, okay, roadblocks, this guy's a predator, block, or, I don't want to play this anymore. My daughter kind of was a victim of social media bullying where another kid liked her, and so he spread a rumor that she was sending
That's so stupid.
nudes to another boy, which was her boyfriend, and they were 10. She's 10 years old.
Stupid.
And how I took it, I'm like, she was so scared to tell me. And for me, that was such a heartbreaking moment because she was so worried I was going to be mad at her for what this other person did.
Yeah.
And so for me, I was like one of those, like, got on one knee. I go, Kira, I'm never going to be mad at you. This is what happens. This is how we approach it. And so we got in the car, drove to the kid's house. Is she just sending it? No. Okay, cool. Drove to the other kid's house with that dad and that boy and basically approached it. And it was one of those sad moments that, like, he opened the door and that dad's like, son, get down here. And as soon as son got down here, he grabbed him by the neck and threw him against the wall. And he's like, did you spread this rumor? And me and the other dad were like, whoa, dude, come on, man. I mean, what the hell? And then later on, I told him, like, hey, I'm a nurse. If I see you abuse your kid, I have to report it by law.
Yep.
And he's like, basically threatened to fight me. And I'm like, I'm good. Like, we don't need to fight. I'm just telling you, stop. And we ended up leaving. And it was sad because then I knew in that moment, that's why that boy was spreading those rumors, because he needed the attention. He was so abused at home, and it was just sad. Yeah. But we did the same thing. We pulled back on the social media, and can't after 8 p.m. you can't have your phone anymore. Turn it off. She got better sleep. She did a lot better. Yeah. But it's just, she struggled all through high school because of social media and bullying and trying to find her place. And so it was a lot of education on know who your friends are. Do they have your back? Are they really your friends? Are they toxic? Are they lifting you, or are they pulling you down?
Well, and that brings us into our next section, the teen years, right? And helping build that psychological armor and being that safe landing place, like you were talking about. When she was scared, you got down, you tried to, help her know that you were a safe person she could talk to. That psychological armor is something that how do you know if somebody's toxic or not, right? Yeah. And so one of the things that I was able to do, having gone through school for psychology and then for counseling and all that kind of stuff, I would help my kids identify. They'd tell me stories about friends and drama that was going on. I'd help them identify the actual behaviors like gaslighting and if somebody's being really toxic or not, to help them be aware of it so they don't fall victim to it.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and honestly, I think with COVID, with our kids and being teenagers, it was hard for them. That social isolation is not what teenagers need. I mean, part of Erickson's, stage of development for teenagers is that social interaction, that need to fit in. And for Kira, it was so hard because she felt so isolated. She felt so pushed away by everybody. And so she started having anxiety issues, and she's had them most of her life because she actually had the cord wrapped around her neck quite a bit. And so she had airway stenosis. So anytime she got a cough, like she would high pitch, hard time breathing, she'd start panicking. And so we actually worked on, as a kid, how to take a step back, stay calm, work on your breathing. And she has relayed to me that, like, hard situations, she gets overwhelmed and she's like, okay, Dad, I take a step back, slow my breathing, reanalyze it. Is this worth getting upset about? So I built some of those foundations that she slowly, as she built more confidence as a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
she was able to go, yeah, fuck this person. They're not good for me.
Mhm.
Yeah. As you've thought about your daughters becoming teenagers, what are some of the things you're afraid of? What worries you, TJ?
I'm just a hope when we were talking about the left of the bang and right of the bang, whatever
Mhm.
the bang is, that bad moment that can spend all the time developing, just like you guys saying, recognizing those toxic traits or that's a narcissist right there. And, or in the gym industry, if you guys were gym owners, I'd say,
Yeah, I've
being a
got like
gym
7
owner's
of them.
a,
No, I'm just kidding.
being a gym owner is a lot like being a zookeeper, and you need to recognize the type of animal that you're dealing with, what
Mhm.
motivates them, what their ultimate goal is, how to communicate effectively with them, how to have them coexist with the rest of the animals. And so a little bit of that has to be used with my daughters and recognizing the different animals they're dealing with and how
Yeah.
to navigate and which ones to steer clear of, which ones need help, and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough too. The left of the bang, I think there was probably a 3-year period where we were going up to the church regularly and just cleaning up at the church. And my daughters opened up so much with questions that they were, you don't realize when you're talking to a child how many dots they haven't connected yet.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at them and
Oh,
they're telling you here's an 11-year-old that's going to be wants to be a 22-year-old, but there are so many missing dots that they can't even connect there.
Yeah.
And so you don't even realize that until they ask that question. You're like, whoa.
yeah.
And you reflect on it. It's something as simple as whatever this question is, and they don't understand that because they've never connected those dots. And so I thought that was very eye-opening for me, and I really appreciate that the 3 years of going up to the church and we're just servicing the church, like just cleaning the church and having conversations about what happened in school and the people around them, and helping develop their ability to recognize what type of animal they're dealing with and how they should approach those things. So when you're asking what my fears are when they become college and above, or high school, um, we're not going to be able to protect them forever. I know that at some point, I hope that at some point they don't have to fight someone physically, but I know that they'll be ready for it. And I just hope they I don't want to pull the trigger on it. I
Yeah.
just want them to engage, to engage and actually defend themselves, fight back, commit to it, and do what needs to be done. Because I don't want the mental or emotional scars from not committing to it and failing themselves in that moment when they had spent time to
Yeah.
prepare for that. And so I guess I'm not going to worry about that as much, and I'm just going to focus on the before the bang. Something else too is, as Gen X, like, we come from a day and age where we only had to deal with the idiot bully at school.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Social media is so bad.
Yeah.
The bully can follow them anywhere and everywhere that our children go now.
Yeah.
There is no escape
Mm-hmm.
from somebody that truly wants to wreck someone's life. And so really that was a learning process for us too, is like, we're learning how to use all of this new technology, and there's other people that are learning how to abuse this technology. And then we're also having to learn how to limit or protect our families from this technology now. And so, I think there's so much moving parts going on, and we can only do the best we can do, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I think, my goal is to give them that mental armor.
Mm-hmm.
The physical, I'm, mine was always, take the knife and stab them in the side, fucking kill them if they're trying to rape you, kind of thing. But the mental part, I think, was important for me as being a nurse. I get physically abused, I get verbally abused across the board, and so I learned very quickly how to just brush it off
Mhm.
or to empathize with that person. You know, okay, are they hurt? Are they in pain? Are they going there? So that's one thing I really tried to project onto my kids before you act. Try to understand the situation
Yeah.
and take a step back, see the scenario, and do you have control of it? And it's not necessarily you have to have control of it, but if it's something that you need to react to or something you can just walk away from. And so with social media, that's one thing I try to tell her. It's like, yeah, they can go in there and destroy you, they can blow you up, but what's a bully want from you?
He wants to hurt
Reaction.
less than
Reaction.
he's hurting, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So she had a bully, and I think literally she was great. She
Yeah.
just would look at him and laugh, and she's like, yeah, that's pretty funny. And then she'd walk away, and they're like, oh, and eventually they moved on to somebody else,
Mhm.
you know, kind of thing. And the nice thing is Quinn would always learn from the lessons from her. So the youngest always picks up what the oldest isn't generally. And so with like homework and chores and stuff like that, like I saw a mom that actually did really good at, she put time slots on a popsicle stick. And so how many chores you did. So vacuuming was 10 minutes of time on the internet or playing video games and stuff. And so it made those kids want to do chores to get time to play on a tablet or video games. And I'm like, man, that's great. But like Quinn, I didn't even have to do anything. Like he saw how much my daughter would argue with me, and that dude would come home, do his homework, be right on playing video games, and she'd be like, that's not fair. I'm like, dude, he came home, did his chores, and did his homework. So do the same thing.
Yeah.
And that was one of those lessons that she slowly learned, that now she's in college, she actually applies it and does it. We are able to, she's gotten so good at recognizing the toxic people.
Yeah.
You know, she went through some trials with a couple boyfriends that weren't gaslighty or anything. They just were lazy.
Yeah.
Because her generation of boys are just fucking lazy.
Well, there's a difference between gaslighting to try and manipulate somebody and gaslighting because you're just selfish.
Yeah. But there's been lazy boys that are not trying to gaslight. They just are like, oh, poor me.
Well, and we also like to throw that term around too. One of the things that I have taught a lot of my clients too is, there's cognitive distortions and cognitive reframing.
Yeah.
So the cognitive distortions like catastrophizing or personalizing is a big one, especially in like middle school and high school.
Yeah.
Where, and the example that I use sometimes is like, I'm walking down the hall because I wasn't popular. So walking down the hallway and there's some really cute girls walking the other way. And one of them looks at you and then you hear them giggle and you think it's about you. That's personalizing. You have no evidence that it's about you at all.
Yeah, I wasn't a loser in high school, so I don't know.
Yeah, right.
I thought they were talking about me.
Thanks, Dawson.
Just kidding, man.
But being able to see those kinds of trends in my kids too. One of the things I tried to teach them was to reframe that to where it's like with bullying. Somebody says something really rude and it really hurts your feelings. Okay, was it true? No. Okay, so then why did they say it if it wasn't true? Because it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
And being able to take each of these experiences and keep going through these processes of recognizing your cognitive distortions, challenging the distortions, and reframing your reaction to it and the way you feel, so that you can actually handle things as an adult a whole lot better. And so, like my oldest daughter's an RN too. She's a firebrand. I mean, you cannot piss her. I mean, you can piss her off, but you're not going to like make her feel bad.
Yeah. Oh no, it's hard to make a nurse feel bad.
It really is.
It really is.
But even like my youngest daughter in college, she has a lot of friends who, and my daughter's, she's got some anxiety too. We all do, to an extent, but she's got a lot of friends that like, they don't handle things well. They struggle. And she's almost taken on the persona of like their therapist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love it because it helps. She's in a much better mental space, because of all these experiences that my kids have gone through, and hopefully with the example and the teaching that I gave them, so that they became better adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hey, TJ, have you heard the Warren Buffett's rule of 3 when it comes to events?
No, tell me, what do we got?
So I was actually kind of surprised. I actually did this with my kids without even realizing I was doing it. So, like, let's say you have a flat tire. So instead of saying, God damn it, my day's ruined, I got a flat tire, what am I going to fucking do now? I got to change the tire. Oh my God, I'm going to be late. You go, well, at least I still got a car that runs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least I know how to change a tire.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least
Count
I know
your
how
blessings.
Yeah, so it's like you always do it in a rule of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize I was teaching my daughter and my son how to do that. It's like they'd come to me with this problem, like, oh my God, da 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 da. I'm like, okay, well, let's take a step back. What's good about this situation? And eventually that problem becomes so minimal, they solve it and they move on.
Yeah.
And it taught them that they can accomplish hard things. And I used to hate it when they would say, I can't do
Mhm.
that.
Mm-hmm.
I always said, oh, no. You can do anything. This is hard.
Yeah.
This is really tough
Yeah.
because you don't know how to do it. I go, but you know what? I didn't know how to frame a house. I didn't know how to change an engine in a car. I didn't know how to make babies. I learned how to do it. No, obviously I didn't say that to my kids, but but if you go forward in the teenage years, what's nice with us talking to you with you're getting into that teenage years, I think you're developing those great foundations for your
Mhm.
kids
Agreed.
mentally and physically, which goes into our third segment, the young adult. So you're teaching them how to be a mother from a dad's point of view,
Yeah.
which I don't think a lot of people understand that girls need.
They really do. Yeah. One of the things that I didn't want to do, I had this kind of progressive concept of parenting. So little kids up until about 7, 8 years old, you tell them what to do and they do it because they don't have any choice because they don't really know any better. As they start approaching 7, 8 years old, they start understanding more. You give them a few choices. You can wear the green shirt or the blue shirt, but you're wearing a shirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once they get to, 8, 9, 10 years old, you're now explaining the why.
Yeah.
You're helping them understand the process so that by the time they hit 13, 14, maybe 15, well, now it's like 12, they're going to start feeling that independence. They don't want to do what you tell them to. They want to do the things they want to because they think they're becoming adults.
A lot of pushback.
Yeah, a lot of pushback. And so, a lot of times when parents get their kids are like 15, they're about to get their license, they're like, oh shit, my kid's a holy terror. I need to lock him down.
Oh yeah. Nope.
And the kid rebels even more because now they've had all this freedom or they've been allowed to do so much. They are not the genie's not going back in the bottle.
Nope.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we haven't taught them in early childhood, developed it in that adolescent age, by the time they hit the young adult time frame, it's almost too late. It takes so much to try and, corral them back in.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things that I tried to do with my kids was by the time that they were, 15, 16, 17, depending on the kid and their behavior, but I just would support them. They would say, well, this is what I want. Okay. Why do you want that? Convince me, put the burden on them. Their job is to make me say yes, not my job isn't just to say no, but they have to convince me. They have to prove that yes, they can have those things instead of me just knocking down rules on them. And that I think developed into, all of my kids are adults now, varying degrees of success. They're all going through trials just like all of us do.
Yeah.
Nobody's exclusive from that or excluded from that process. But now it's kind of like that open nest kind of thing. Whenever they come, whenever I talk to them, whenever I see them, it's like, hey, how you doing? I get to show this abundance of love now. And like my son one time talked to me and he was really stressed out. Things were hard. He'd been working a whole ton. He's doing an EMT thing. He's just going through the fire academy. Now he's a firefighter. He's like, I went like 2 days and I didn't even see my daughter awake. I was like, yep. That's fatherhood. That's parenting. I'm proud of you. It's hard, but that's what we do. And so that value got instilled because of the experience, but it took him having those experiences to really kind of grasp some of those concepts. They're not going to get it at 16, but being able to have that relationship in their adulthood where they actually want to talk to me.
Yeah.
That was my focus. That's one of the things I tried to develop.
Yeah.
Yeah. For me too, I want them to see what love looks like. My wife and I just had our 14-year anniversary not too long ago.
Congrats.
Thank
I
you.
wish I knew what that's like.
I think that if my daughters can see that. My wife and I don't argue. We don't fight. We she's my best friend, and I think that's a unique situation. Not everybody's fortunate enough to have that, but I think it also gives my daughters a glimpse of hopefully something that they would want to strive for, not something that's drama filled or turbulent, a relationship that the guy is lazy, like you were talking about the today's day and age, or the guy that is like hyper
overdriven,
aggressive, or any of this. I want them to be able to recognize this, and also see what hopefully a good something looks like, and so there is a little bit of that I hope that they learn from. I know that part of it is they're going to go off and do whatever they're going to do too. Like they're always going to add their own little spice of decision making and stuff like that, and I can't control all of that. So I don't know. I think about that too, like Chris and my relationship, marriage, and the girls watching us, and how I treat her, how I talk to her, and seeing what love looks like. So
yeah, that's one thing I really try to teach my son, is how you treat your mom is how you will treat your wife. People don't realize that. I think that's one thing my mom was so good at, like drilling into my head. Actually, two things. One was the first three kids, a lot of stuff happened. She just tried to control as much as she could as a single mom. And with me, I watched my older siblings fuck up a lot and have a lot of restrictions and a lot of stuff. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a truth bomb. I'm going to tell my mom every fucking thing. I'm going to let her know every little thing. And
after a while, she's like, please don't tell me.
There were times she's like, I don't want to know that. Don't tell me that. But because I was so open and honest with my mom and followed the rules to a 98%, I had so much more freedom than my brothers and sisters, because I did take what she told me and I did apply it. And the biggest thing that hit me when I was 15, you talk about driving. My mom's like, you know what? I try to control and set all these maybe overbearing rules. I don't know, but I'm just going to tell you one thing. I will always be there for you, but I'm not going to fucking bail you out. So think twice before you do something.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, man. And plus, I feel like she was fucking psychic, man. Because she'd be like, don't go to a park tonight. We go to a park at midnight, and then we get arrested because we're in the park. And she's like, I fucking told you not to go to the park. I'm like, son of a bitch, kind of thing. But the other one was basically respect the other side of the world. So like respect females. She kind of put it in a way that a teenager can understand it. Be nice to the ugly girls because they're going to be the hot ones when you grow up. And I was like, oh. But it really did teach me to respect everyone and respect who they are, try to understand where they come from, and I try to teach my kids that. And that's one thing I'm really proud of my daughter, because she really does take the step back. And, you mentioned you want them to see a happy relationship. And I've done a great job at showing my kids horrible relationships and the abuse of it and how women can destroy men, and just like men can destroy women. And that was really hard for me to learn things from like my last relationship that was happening behind my back, and my kids, out of pride for me and respect for me, would basically hold back and not tell me what was happening. And that's where their mom would kind of step in and just like, well, if you don't want to go, don't go, which kind of hurt my relationship with them. But now they know that they could have told me and I would have been like, yeah, fuck that, we're out.
Yeah.
And so now with Sydney, I'm engaged. They're seeing that love. They're seeing that good communication. They're seeing that respect that we have for each other, that we have that relationship, that we're partners, and we're going to build together. And that's what I want them, like you, want them to have that desire to have that same relationship.
Yeah, I think you said it right, TJ, when you said, your daughters are watching you and your wife, right? One of the best compliments that I got from my kids, I think it was my oldest daughter, when she's married. She got married last year, and so one of the things that she said is that she was looking for a guy that would treat her the way that I treated her mom. And which is a huge compliment, especially how chaotic the divorce was, and all these accusations that I had against me, all this stuff where it's like, my kids could have very easily just looked at me as the asshole and all this other stuff. It would have been based on half truths and lies, but they saw the contradiction to all of that was the way that I lived my life with their mom and the way that I treated her for 15 years. And so even two of my younger daughters that, I asked them the question, why girls always go for bad guys that treat them badly, all this kind of stuff. And they're like, no, we found great guys. They're wonderful. They're sweet. They're this, they're that. And it dawned on me. I was
They're
like,
just poor.
Yeah, right. Well, we're all poor. But what dawned on me was I said, well, yeah, but who raised you? And they said a similar thing to their older sister, where it was like, yeah, they watched me treat, because I've been divorced twice now, but the way that I treated both of the women I were married to, they were looking for a guy like me.
Yeah.
And that was such a huge compliment. And, it speaks to that your kids are watching you, and a father's role, especially in a daughter's life, is so essential. They need to have good, reliable, safe, loving fathers that show them what a man can be and how a man can treat a woman, so that that's what they are then looking for.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned like your wife is your best friend. And when they see that humor, that joking, she can give you shit, you give her shit, but there's so much love within it. They see that and they want it. Like the kids will want that. And subconsciously, studies have shown that girls will date their dads through the guy of their age. They don't realize they're doing it,
right?
But they will find qualities that their dads have. And we see that on good and bad. We see that woman that had an abusive alcoholic dad,
issues,
guess
right?
who they start dating? Abusive alcoholic men. And they can't help it because subconsciously that's what they're drawn to, because that's what they know.
Yeah.
And when you teach your kids to break out of that socialistic bubble that they're in, that they see the world abroad and understand the dangers and the excitement of the earth and just what it has to offer, that's where they're prepared to take on the world as an adult female, and they can recognize the bad, and that they're safer. And that's all we can do as dads.
Yeah. So TJ, I applaud you for the effort that you're putting in. I think it's going to pay dividends.
Hey, thank you. High five. Yeah. I'm enjoying the time. Thank you. I'm enjoying the time with them, honestly. So I want them to be kids, and we'll just see whatever comes. We'll tackle whatever comes. We're learning too, right?
Yeah.
We're learning every day on how to be a better father, how to be a better mentor, how to be a better everything. So, we're not a finished product by any means. And so, yeah, and they need to, I acknowledge that to them, like if I mess up, I'll say that was my bad, and I won't, I have to be better. So,
yeah. And, they always say if you don't think you're fucking your kids up, then you're not doing something right.
Well, if you're not worried about it, right?
Yeah, it's like, because how many people are like, oh God, I feel like I'm being a horrible parent. I don't think I'm doing this right, doing that right. And they're like, that means you're a good parent, because you're adjusting, you're changing, you're trying to be better for your kid.
Well, I think before we let you go, TJ, one of the things that I would like to hear from you is, what kind of relationship are you hoping to build with your kids for when they are adults?
I want them, we're going to have an open door policy at the house, so it kind of seems to me, I'm like the oldest of the Brady Bunch scenario. Okay. And so I spent a lot of times changing diapers and missing out on different things growing up because there was little ones. And, my mom had me when she was like 16 years old. And so I had to kind of grow up really fast, but something that I having an open door policy to where when life's really kicking you down, you always know that you can go back home and get your feet back under you and go out. It's not go back home and just do nothing. It's go back home, realign,
Reset.
come up with reset, come up with a game plan, and then attack life from a different angle. So, and I do want to have that approach with them. And owning multiple businesses for 20 years, and I think being a problem solver is going to be their biggest asset that they can have, recognizing the people that are good, bad, and whatever, and then understanding those animals and how to navigate through life. But being a problem solver, like you were saying, Warren Buffett's rule number 3 is so, so important, because problem solvers, they make things happen in this world. And so I acknowledge whenever they problem solve, as opposed to whining or crying about something. They went and they set up, there's baseball games going on down at the park. They went out to the end of the driveway and sold $62 worth of bottled water and soda. And $62. I'm like, what the heck?
And you're like, wait a second, I paid for all that.
Yeah. Well,
my profit share.
And exactly. And herein is the lesson. I was like, hey, we don't have a sustainable business model when you don't take some of the profit and purchase items to replenish what you sold. You're basically done now. You're out of business. So that full $62 should go to replenishing a product, and then see what you got. And so there was the lesson in that for them. And then you see their eyes like, why, like,
that's how you make more money.
Well, and that's when you realize that, you actually don't make all that money. It's like $62. Yeah. Oh, wait, we keep 5.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the real. And we should have implemented. We should have had the tax talk. They should have had to pay taxes on that.
Wait, you haven't paid? You don't have paid a dad tax?
No, we are about to. I'm writing it down right now.
Yeah. Halloween candy. If they make brownies, one piece is your dad tax.
With Halloween, anytime there's like an Almond Joy or anything like that, they immediately just run it straight to me. They're like, "I got you, Dad," and I'm like, "Thank you."
That's more like the mafia, though. Here's your cut.
Yeah, here's your cut.
Yeah, and I do the mafia voice. Thank you. Go get me more. So.
Well, it's a huge eye shocker. Like when my kids had their first check, and they're like, dude, half of it's gone. What the hell, man? I'm like, yeah, I know. Sucks.
Yeah. Yep. My youngest daughter, when she had to pay like $45 of taxes, she like cried because she'd never had to pay taxes before. And I was like,
yeah,
welcome to being an adult.
Sucks.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah. Now let's write down all your expenses, and then you'll really cry.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, my first taxes that I made like $7-8 grand that year, and I'm like, I made that much money? Where did it all go? Oh, I had like 15 speeding tickets that I paid attorneys to. All my money was gone.
Yeah.
You'd think I'd learn my lesson.
Yeah, you think, Mr. Speed Racer over there.
I don't know what you're talking about. All right, TJ, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast. I really have appreciated your input. We want everybody to go to Grimsforge Gaming on YouTube and support TJ and enjoy his content. And so thanks, man.
Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, appreciate it. Sounds like you're doing really good with your kids, and you laid that foundation of discipline, and then you're doing the teaching part, and it's just gonna pay forward so much for them.
Yeah, for what it's worth.
Well, we'll have to touch base in 10 years and see how I fumbled it. So.
And we'll nod our heads and go, yep, we screwed that up too.
Well, it'd be fun to have all our kids on one episode, and this is what we said. How realistic was it? It's like,
oh my gosh,
I didn't learn shit. I don't know what he's talking about.
We need to do that. Yeah. Holding us accountable to how we raise them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that has to happen. My 11-year-old would be all over that.
All right,
cool. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Like, follow, and subscribe. And what's the tagline?
Stay classy, Kansas City.
Oh yeah.